Hey, what's up, folks? How's it going? This is Avit here, and welcome to Devops Challenge Hub. So let's start with today's interview question. Today we'll discuss about IAM fundamental, like basic questions of IAM, identity and access management. So we'll be covering what is IAM in AWS. We'll discuss about user group roles policies. After that, we'll discuss about how user and roles are different, why we use role, why we can't use user in that case where we are using roles, right? And then we'll also discuss about whether can user belong to multiple groups, and finally we'll discuss about IAM policies, structure of the IAM policies, etc. Okay, so let's start with the basics. So what is IAM? IAM in AWS. IAM is identity and access management. IAM is identity and access management in AWS. Identity and access management, IAM, and so it helps you securely control access to AWS services and resources. And you can create, manage users, group, roles, and permissions. So managements, you can edit, you can delete, you can attach policy to user, policy to group, etc. So you can manage all the user group roles permissions here. So now let's go to the user part. So user is represents individual application or people. It has a long-term credential like username, password, or access key. If you are accessing from command line, it will be having access key, secret key, right? So it will having access key and secret key. So for example, if I go to users and try creating users, like let's say test 1, 2, 3, provide user access to AWS console. Let's check this out. Specify a user in identity center recommended. I want to create an IAM user. We recommend you to use Identity Center to provide access to a person. With Identity Center, you can centrally manage user access to their AWS account and cloud operation. We want to create a specific things. We'll discuss this later. Then auto-generated password or custom password you can have. And then click on next. And then you can add user to group or something like that. Or you can copy permission, existing permission you can copy. Or you can attach policy directly. So there are policies. Once I create a user, it doesn't have any permission. It can log into the system, but it won't have any access to EC2 or dashboard or S3 bucket. It won't be able to create, delete, view, etc. It won't be able to do anything on the system. It will be able to just log in. So for that, you have to give authorization, permission. You have to create a policy. And the policy will mention that this user should be able to launch EC2 instance, but should not be able to terminate. Or this user should be able to create bucket, update bucket, but should not be able to delete the bucket. Or this user should be able to only view the bucket contents. So the other different permissions you can create. That's a policy. So for example, there are filter types like AWS manage job function wise, billing, administration access, power access, etc. Then AWS manage, the other different options are available. Let's check for all types and search for S3. So if I can select AWS S3 full access. Full access, if I click full access means complete access will be given. Full access will be given. AWS S3 full access. And then I can copy the JSON or I can create a policy. I can create my own policy. Click on create policy. I'll be able to create policy here. So by default, there are some policies Amazon provided, Amazon managed. So you can use that. Otherwise, if you want some custom, then you can create your own policy. And there are visual reader and or you can directly type in the JSON. Yeah, the policy visual editor is on. We can click on JSON and we can write a policy in JSON file. Let's click on visual and choose service type. let's say S3. So you want to give some S3 permission to the user, whatever user you have created. User should be, let's say, user you want to give only list permission. You don't want to give other permission. If you want to give all permission, you can check this. But if you want to give only, let's say, list permission, you can select any one of them. Let's say you want to give only list bucket. Right? So this is what you can do. So there are different options: read, write. There are so many options are there. Write, create bucket, delete bucket. So you can do very granular level. Like it should you should be able to only create bucket, or it should be able to only create object. He should be only able to update object. That's it. So granular level permission can be given. So and click on next, and then you can create a policy. Okay, I'm not creating policy now. Let's come back and let's see what else we have here. And then we have groups, policy, user role. We have a user group. User group. You want to club multiple users in one group. Maybe admin user group. Two admin may be there. DevOps group. Maybe 5 DevOps engineers are under DevOps group. So you don't want to create policies separately and attach to user. One don't want to apply permission separately to each user. You want to apply permission that this whoever belongs to this group, they should be able to create bucket, delete bucket, edit bucket, and you attach that policy. And whoever you add in that group, they will be having that kind of permission. Okay. So here you can create group. You can create group, and after creating group, you can attach permission to the group directly. Here the different policies are there. AWS managed. Last time also we have seen this. Okay. So let's go back. What is group? So group is a collection of IAM users used to assign the same permission to multiple users. Same permission can be applied to multiple users. For example, a developer group with access to EC2 and S3. You can create a developer group which will have access to EC2 and S3. And anyone you add to the group, they will also have the same permission. What is role? Role do not have credential by default. It won't have any user ID password. It used to delegate access to AWS resources. Can be assumed by user application EC2 Lambda and other services. Good for temporary access. For example, if you go to role section, and here you can create a role, right? And there are different trusted entity type: AWS service, AWS account, wave entity, SAML, federation, custom trust policy. They are the different type of trust entity, and there are different use cases. This role should be able to do activity with respect to, let's say, S3 or batch job or something like that. So we can select that use cases. What are the use cases? What are the operations it should be able to do? So we are creating a role. So it's for temporary access. So what are these trusted entities we have seen just now? AWS service, account, identity, SML, and trust, custom trust policy. AWS service, trust service like EC2 or Lambda to act on your behalf. So you have launched EC2 and you want to copy some file from EC2 machine to your S3 bucket. So you need to have permission, right? From copying to copy file from EC2 to S3. So what you can do, like you have to assign role to that EC2 that and give permission to that role that this EC2 instance should be able to upload files. And then you can log into the EC2 instance. Let's say like I have logged into the EC2 instance. And then I can AWS S3 SP copy from file to some bucket, right? I can do that. And I don't need to configure anything. I don't need to do AWS configure and configure my username password like access keys. Because if I store access keys on the EC2, anyone can come and hack it, or if they can log into the system, they'll be able to see it, and it's a permanent keys, right? Like unless I change it, secret keys. But advantage with the role, I don't store anything. I don't store any access keys here. I assign role on the dashboard, AWS dashboard. And I say this is the role, this is the permission it has. So there nowhere this configuration is stored, passwords are stored. And when you are copying that file, when you are executing this command from your EC2 instance, AWS SCP from file to your S3 bucket, That time it is assuming that role, getting temporary password, which is maybe valid for 15 minutes. And AWS account, trust another AWS account to access your account. So some third party, some other account you want, like they want to access your account, you can do that. Web identity, some you want to trust external user like from Google, Facebook, Amazon login via web identity to access your account. Like you want to log into Google, Facebook, those kind of things. External users via web identity to access your account. Then we have SML federation. We'll discuss all this in detail later. SML federation is for trust users from your company directly. Uh, what happens like if right now I've created IAM users. So let's say you have a big company like maybe 500 employees are there, and you don't want to create 500 users, right? Because company has several applications, and each time if you have to create application, I mean username password, it's a problem. Like nowadays we don't fill up the form and create users. We just say that sign using Google, sign using Facebook. So single identity. It's a single sign up, right? So using one identity, we are able to log into multiple places. So similarly, company also provide this kind of active directory service. They don't use Google, Facebook, Amazon login. They have their own active directory service. A single login they have created at the company level, organization level. Using that login, you will be able to log into multiple applications. It be it AWS account, maybe some SAP account or something else. You will be able to do that. And then custom trust policy, right? You don't trust rules to control who can access your account. So we have the option for that. Now, next, what is policy? Policy, we have discussed that it can be JSON document, what actions are allowed or denied. So you can decide what actions are allowed or denied. You can also specify these are the actions denied. Can be attached to user, group, and roles. You can attach to user. You can create 10 users attached to each users, or you can create a group level. You attach it. No need to attach to user. When you add user to the group, user will already get that permission. Control access to specific service actions and resources. So this policy, you can attach to a role and issue to instance Lambda. They can assume that role, okay, that a Lambda will be able to upload some files to S3 bucket or do some activity into database. So you will give that permission. Unless you give explicitly, it won't be able to access that database. Lambda won't be able to access S3 bucket. You have to give it explicitly. And they need role for that. You don't create user for Lambda or EC2 instance. What is the difference between IAM user and IAM role? User and role. User is a specific for user, person, app, and IAM role is a temporary assumed identity. This identity will be temporarily assumed. Role is a permanent, but when you are copying it, you temporarily assume that role identity. Credential long term, make sure a temporary credential. Use case human access system account. For human, you will create a user system account. But IAM role, you assign for EC2, Lambda, cross account, federated. So when EC2 is uploading some file, some Lambda function is writing something into database, you give role. You create a role for it. Security best practice, limited use, rotate the keys, and IAM role is preferred for automation. IAM role itself is not a temporary, it's a permanent. You create a role, attach policy, and it stays until you delete it. Credential is temporary, not role. When role is assumed, temporary credentials are issued by AWS Security Token Service, STS. AWS Security Token Service, STS, will temporarily give some credentials. And using the credentials, AWS, this EC2 instance will be able to upload that file to S3 bucket. And it's available maybe for 15 minutes to 1 hour. And after expiry, credential must be reissued by reassuming the role. For example, you want to give EC2 instance a role that will allow it to access upload files to S3 bucket. The role will be permanent. EC2 instance automatically gets temporary credential via instance metadata service. And this credential rotate automatically behind the scene every few hours. So even the role persists, access it provides via short-lived credential. That's why it's a temporary. Access is a short-lived credential. So why this matters? Because no long-term static keys are stored on machines or in code. If I'm creating IAM users, I will generate maybe user ID password or access keys, secret keys, right? And you will be doing AWS configure. So it will be permanently stored on the machine. That's why we don't want to do that. We will give role. If credentials are compromised, they expire quickly. Even if the credentials are compromised, 10-15 minutes to be expired. So IAM role plus temporary credentials give secure automatic short-term access. Okay, IAM policies. Uh, we will discuss later. So, what are the IAM groups? Can user belong to multiple group? IAM groups we have discussed. Yes, you can user can belong to multiple groups. So, you can belong to suppose you have created one user for you. It can belong to developer group. It can belong to DevOps group. Explain the structure of IAM policy. So, JSON fields which will have version, statement, effect, action, resources, and condition. So what is IAM policy? IAM policy is JSON document with which define permission, what it can do on the AWS resources, whether it will be resources means S3 bucket, these are resources, right? EC2 instance, whether it can delete, terminate, add something, upload something, right? Create something. User groups, and this policy will be attached to user or group or roles. So there are a different kind of IAM policies we have seen: AWS managed, customer managed, and inline. Inline also you can create when you're creating group that or itself you can create inline. It will directly embedded into the user. It will be inline. So I'm policy example is like version. This is like a latest version format. Then statement itself allow. It can be allow or deny. It can be deny also. Allow S3 update. So S3 read. S3 you are allowing it on which resource. Resource is my bucket. So you are allowing S3 bucket this operation on which resource. Effect what you want allow deny which action resources. The effect allow deny action, a specific action, SC get object like that, ARN of the resource by which you will be able to identify the resource ARN. Okay. So now let's go to today's quiz section. What does IAM stands for? IAM stands for we know that identity and access management. So it's the identity and access management. Which of the following statement is true about IAM users? Which of the following statement? Represents IAM users represents groups. IAM have a temporary credential. Users are used to IAM users can have long-term credential and access key. D. IAM users can have long-term credential and access key. What is the purpose of IAM groups in AWS? Purpose of IAM groups to assign the same permission to multiple users. Assign the same permissions to multiple users. That is the purpose. B. Which the statement is true about IAM roles. IAM roles, not long-term password, human users delegate. Used for are used to delegate temporary access. What are the IAM policies in AWS? JSON document that define permission. So that's it for today. Hope you like this video. Please like, share, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also follow my LinkedIn page, Devops Challenge. I organize quiz contest daily. You can participate in that and follow my WhatsApp channel. I provide updates regularly. And thank you for watching this video and see you again in the next video.